Hello everyone. I hope this message finds you fit and fine. My name is Shashank Tyagi. Welcome to our Lakshmikant series Kanthas in Polity. We are continuing our Parliament chapter. Within that, today we need to discuss devices of parliamentary proceedings. UPSC asks a statement kind of question and match the following kind of questions from this particular section. Parliamentary proceedings. What comes into your mind? Members of the House coming together and actually engaging in legislative business, right? Lawmaking process. But for that, they need certain devices. Devices means processes, okay, to do this function effectively. That is what we need to discuss. First, let's talk about what happens in Parliament, how the usual day in Parliament is slotted. First hour, 11 a.m. to 12 noon, we call it question hour. Question hour. It means members of the Parliament, they ask questions from the ministers to keep the government in check. They represent people, right? From 12 noon to 1 p.m., we call it 0 hour. 0 hour is not mentioned in our constitution, even not mentioned in rules and procedures of Parliament. Okay, so, but it represents people. In the 0 hour, you can actually raise matters of public importance. Okay, then 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., you have lunch. Go to parliamentary canteen, you have subsidized food waiting for you. Then 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. in case of Lok Sabha, real government business happens. The agenda of the day means which bill need to be discussed. So everything happens, major work happens in this slot. In case of Rajya Sabha, this is 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Okay, so law making process happen in this slot. It is clear to you? Now, question hour. Let's take them one by one. First hour, I told you, members ask questions and ministers usually give answer. So you have three type of questions. Number one, a start question, most important one. Asterisk sign is also used. Okay. In case of start question, the concerned minister has to give an oral answer. Okay, you have to stand up in the house and give oral answer. Okay, and the other person who has asked this question, if you're not satisfied, you can ask counter question, you can ask supplementary question from that particular minister. Okay, one point you need to actually know. Consider you want to ask question from Minister for Defense. It's not like you are going to stand on this day, since question hour is working, I want to ask question from Modi ji. No, you have to send this question in advance, sometimes 1 month, 1.5 months before. And you send this question not directly to that concerned minister. You have to send this question to Lok Sabha Speaker in case we are talking about Lok Sabha. In case of Rajya Sabha, you have to send this question to Rajya Sabha Chairman. Then these presiding officers, they are going to send this question to the respective minister. Okay, and now minister is not actually making the answer. Who is making the answer? IAS officers, right? So officers actually make the answer. Actually staff makes the answer on the ground, then officer check, do the dictation work, and then brief the concerned minister. Sir, this question was asked from you in Lok Sabha, and this is the answer we have framed, and we have double checked everything, because if you actually give wrong data, then privilege motion can be actually leveled against that particular minister. Right, so this is a very important work. I remember my days in Delhi Legislative, in Delhi Secretariat. So when Delhi Legislative Assembly used to start, session used to start. So we were totally absorbed in this question and answer stuff. Coordinate with department, double check with the data, then frame the answer, then reframe the answer, and then the secretary, means the topmost officer in the ministry. Then our secretary used to, you can say, brief the concerned minister. Now, unstarred question, on the other hand, requires a written answer, and hence supplementary questions cannot follow. Supplementary questions cannot follow. In this case, just give written reply. No need of oral answer. So this is the top category. This is the second category of question. Important questions are categorized as starred question. Okay. Now short notice question. If, as I told you, sometimes questions are given 1.5 months back, because you have to check the data from the ground. So if time is given less than 10 days and speaker thinks, oh, you are late, but your question seems important, in this case it is termed as short notice question. Okay, and it is answered orally. Okay, now 0 hour, the next hour we are talking about. So it is informal device available to the members of the Parliament to raise matters without any prior notice. informal device. Please remember it. The time gap between the question hour and the agenda means 12 to 1 we are talking about. 1 to 2 you have lunch. It is an Indian innovation and actually field of parliament procedures and has been in existence since 1962. Please remember, it is an Indian innovation. Okay, and it is an informal device. Now, 0 hour is not defined anywhere, neither in constitution nor in the parliamentary procedures. Okay, so this you need to remember. This can be a direct statement, in your question. Now, let's talk about motions. For example, you have particular opinion on a particular issue that concerned minister has not done enough, or you want a house to realize that this is an important matter. So how you can actually ensure that other members are actually, you can say, agreeing with you, or to check whether other members are disagreeing with you? What's the you can say stand of house on this matter? So we can check this by use of motions. Okay, so no discussion on a matter of general public importance can take place except on a motion made with consent of presiding officer. So what house actually wants, it is decided by how many people are supporting the motion you have raised. Okay, it is like you want to discuss something. Okay, you want to check what majority of members believe in. So you raise this matter to the presiding officer. Sir, I want to raise this motion. Then speaker in case of Lok Sabha will say, okay, I'm allowing you to raise this motion. Okay, so you'll raise this motion so that it can be, now this matter can be discussed. Okay, so the house expresses its decisions, opinions on various issues through the adoption or rejection of motion. This is exactly what I have explained to you. I think it is clear now. Please remember, it can be either moved by minister or a private member. Now, there are three principal categories of motion. Number one, substantive motion. Substantive motion. I hope it is visible to you. Now, substantive word represent that this motion is complete in itself. It is quite extensive motion. Self-contained independent proposal dealing with a very important matter like impeachment of the president, removal of chief election commissioner. So these are important matter. You want to see whether house agrees with you that this is an important matter and we should do something about it. So this is a substantive motion. Second is this substitute motion. What is the meaning of word substitute? Means it is like a replacement, right? So that is exactly the meaning of this motion. It is a motion that is moved in substitution of an original motion. Okay, a particular motion was raised and now substitute motion is raised. So if speaker accepts, yes, I am allowing the substitute motion, it means now house need to discuss this. Now we can replace the earlier motion. Okay, so alternative to it, if adopted by the house, it supersedes the original motion. Supersedes the original motion, the motion which was initially raised. Now subsidiary. What is the meaning of subsidiary? Subsidiary is like a component of the main thing. Okay, so subsidiary motion is actually component of the main motion. For example, you raised a particular matter and you started discussing it and you want house to adopt it or reject it, whatever is going to happen. Now you find, or someone found, there's another matter which is also connected to this core matter which you have raised. Then that person can say, oh, since house is discussing that, let's discuss this additional matter also. So how this person can actually put his voice. So this person is going to raise this matter before the speaker. Sir, please allow me to put this subsidiary motion. This is subsidiary, a component of the original motion which is in place. So it is a motion that is itself no meaning, cannot state a decision of the house without reference to the original motion. Okay. So proceedings also, it is divided into three subsections. For example, ancillary motion used for regular way of proceeding with the various kind of business. It is regular kind of. A matter of original motion is there and you find that this is a subsidiary. So this can be an ancillary. Superseding motion, it is moved in the course of debate on another issue and seek to supersede that issue. You want to supersede that earlier issue. You think this particular matter is more important. That is why House should discuss this. Amendment to seek, modify or substitute only a part of original motion. Now, amendment as a subsidiary motion, it means you want to change some component of the original motion. Please remember, ancillary motion, supplementary motion and this amendment. ancillary, supplementary and amendment. This ASA is only connected with original motion because all of them are subsidiary motion. They should be actually coming as a component, as an additional part of this original motion. Okay, you have to give reference to this original motion. Okay, now closure motion. What is the meaning of close? It means you are saying, let's close this issue, what we are discussing. Okay, it is a motion moved by a member to cut short the debate on a matter before the House. Let's cut short the debate. If motion is approved by the House, debate is stopped. If you have raised the motion, sir, we have discussed enough on this issue, so I want to raise closer motion. And speaker would say, okay, I am accepting the closer motion, let's put this motion to vote. And if majority of members say, yes, I am support of closer motion, it means these people are agreeing, enough is discussed, enough bol bachan is done. Let's put this matter to the end. Let's put this matter to the vote. So this is closure motion. Okay. Now closure motion have its own types. Simple closure. First, it is one when a member moves that matter having been sufficiently discussed and now put to vote. Please remember, UPSC play on these intricacies. In simple closure, also we are closing. But the difference is, matter has been sufficiently discussed. It is already discussed. And that is why you want to close. Okay, objective is it is sufficiently discussed. Next is closure by compartment. Closure by compartment. In this case, clauses of a bill or lengthy resolutions are grouped into parts before the commencement of the debate. So in this simple closure, matter was sufficiently discussed. But in case of closure by compartment, you are saying before debate starts, let's do one thing. If this particular bill is having, say, 10 major portions, let's divide this bill into 5 portions. Each portion having, say, two major you can say areas. So in this case, now you need not to actually discuss all these 10 provisions in detail. You just need to go to 5 ones so that you can actually simplify the, you can say, procedure here. You can save the time. So the debate covers the part as a whole and the entire part is put to vote. This is turning it into compartment. But everything is covered. I said 10 points were there, but we categorized them into 5. So everything was covered, but we grouped them. In case of kangaroo closure, what is the meaning? How kangaroo actually walks? You remember, kangaroo jumps. For example, these are the provisions. So kangaroo will jump from 1 to 3, then 3 to 6, 6 to 9, or say 9 to 20. So it means in kangaroo we actually jump on most important provisions. We leave other things which are there. Under this type, only important clauses are taken up for debate and voting, and the intervening clauses are skipped and taken as passed. For that we consider, okay, these are discussed, these are passed. So there are certain clauses which are not even discussed in kangaroo motion. We just jump on important provisions. Okay. Then we have guillotine clause. Guillotine closure. It was in news also because our current government used it during the budget process. Guillotine means no discussion is required. Let's put the matter to the vote without discussion. So guillotine name is taken from a device which was used in England for executing people. Means you put the head of a person on a stone, and then there's a blade which is going to fall down, and the end. So it is one when undiscussed clauses of a bill or resolution are put to vote, also put to vote, undiscussed, with the discussed ones, and want time to, you want to save time, right? So government was criticized on this part. Why you have used guillotine motion in case of guillotine closure motion in case of budget? Budget need to be discussed, it need to be debated. Some other party, some other people may have actually some solid argument which you can include in your budget, right? So guillotine, I hope it is clear to you. Just put the matter to vote. Privilege motion. Remember, privilege motion is raised against a minister. For example, if a minister has broken the privilege of the House, for example, a minister has given distorted facts in the answer, withholding facts, certain facts are not shared before the House, although House asks these facts. So in this case, privilege motion can be raised. What is the meaning of privilege? Privilege motion. It means we want to censor that particular minister. You want to make that minister realize that you have done wrong. Censor that concerned minister. Please remember, privilege motion is not against the whole government. Privilege motion is just against that particular minister. Okay, UPSC will try to make trap by confusing you how privilege motion is against every minister, whole government. No. Okay. Calling attention motion. From name, what do you think it is? Introduced in Parliament by a member to call attention of a minister. Calling attention, call attention of a minister on a matter of urgent public importance. To seek an authoritative statement. We want minister to answer. India wants to know. Like the 0R, it is also an Indian innovation in parliamentary procedures. Now, see the difference. And has been in existence in 1954. However, unlike the 0R, it is mentioned in rules of procedure. So what you got? 0R is not mentioned in rules of procedure. 0R is not mentioned in constitution. But calling attention motion is mentioned in rules of procedure of the house. Okay? Not mentioned in constitution. Okay? Rules of procedure, it is within them, it is mentioned. Now, adjournment motion. In the previous class, this adjournment word was used twice. Adjournment and adjournment sign die. That is quite clear to you now, right? Adjournment motion. If there's urgent matter which you need to put before the house and it is very specific, factual, not general, then adjournment motion can be used. Introduced in Parliament, definite matter, urgent public importance, needs support of at least 50 members. Then only this particular motion can be used. It involves element of censure against the government. Okay, in privilege motion, we were raising censure against the minister. Okay, but minister was not losing his seat. Okay, be sure of that. Now, when it comes to adjournment motion, government is not going to fall down, right? But we are censoring government that this is an important matter and you have not done enough. Now, please also remember this adjournment motion is used in case of Lok Sabha, not in case of Rajya Sabha. Why? Because you are censoring the government and government is there because government enjoys majority in Lok Sabha. Discussion on adjournment motion should not last not less than 2 hours and 30 minutes. Means at least, since it's an urgent matter, you should give at least 2 hours 30 minutes for this matter. Now, what are the restrictions with respect to adjournment motion? Means adjournment motion can be raised only in what cases? Should raise a matter which is definite, factual, urgent importance. It should not cover more than one matter. It should be on one matter specifically. Restricted to a specific matter, you cannot have general, debate. Should not frame a general discussion, not raise a question of privilege. Okay? You should not revive discussion which has already been done within that particular session. Should not deal with any matter under adjudication of court. If court is already having this case, then you cannot discuss that matter in the house using adjournment motion. It should not raise any question that is raised on a distinct motion, which has already been raised in distinct motion. Okay, it should be specific, factual, definite, urgent public importance. Now let's discuss the difference between censure motion and no confidence motion. Censure. What is the meaning of censure? It means you want to pinpoint on a particular minister, you have done this thing wrong and House knows. So it should state the reasons for the adoption in Lok Sabha. Means you want to censor a minister, you should give the reason what wrong that person has done. But in case of no confidence motion, already used in Lok Sabha, you need not to give the reason because purpose is quite clear that this government is not enjoying majority of the Lok Sabha, right? So need not to state the reason. Please remember, a question can be raised, a statement can be made from here in upcoming prelims also. Now, moved against an individual minister, censor or group of minister, but in case of no confidence motion, it is raised against the whole government, means council of minister. Okay, no confidence motion cannot be used against a particular minister or group of minister. It can be actually raised against the council of minister only, because purpose of no confidence is that we want to state that this government has no right to actually continue because this government is not enjoying majority in the Lok Sabha. It is moved for censoring the council of minister for a specific policies in action because you are giving the reason, right? It is moved to ascertain the confidence of the Lok Sabha, to check whether this government is having majority support in Lok Sabha or not. It is passed in the Lok Sabha, the Council of Ministers need not to resign. After censure motion, need not to resign. But in case of no confidence motion, if it is passed, it means you don't have, you cannot continue now because you are not having majority, right? And tell me, if no confidence motion is getting passed from Lok Sabha, what does it mean? It means that current government is actually not having majority support. Because this current government was made because more than 50% of the total seats in the Lok Sabha belongs to this particular party. And if no confidence motion is getting passed, it means their own people are not their own people now, right? So this is the, you can say, analysis, or you can say difference between censure and no confidence. Clear? Motion of thanks. Now our president gets two chances to actually come to the house and give a speech. Those chances are first session every year. When I say every year, every fiscal year. First session after general election. Okay. So there president will come and he will give his speech, or she will give his speech. Now president outlines the policies, programs of the government in the preceding year and ensuing year. What you have done and what is going to be done. Then there is motion of thanks, okay, that this thing has been done. Now, motion of thanks, you should not take it lightly. Why? At the end of the discussion, the motion is put to vote. And motion must be passed in the house. And if it is not passed in the house, it means the current government is not having majority. Otherwise, it amounts to defeat of the government. Obviously, this is going to pass in the Lok Sabha, right? Because current government is having majority, that is why they are having government. The inaugural speech of the president is on the occasion available to the members of parliament to raise discussion, debate. So they can raise discussion, debate. Whatever president has said, we do not agree fully. And you would think, oh, these members can actually raise point against the speech which was given by president. Yes. You know why? Because a speech was not given by honorable president on his own. The speech was not actually made by, were not representing the original views of president. Actually, this speech is also decided by Council of Ministers of the time. Okay, and there was one minister, one president, Mr. K.R. Narayan, he raised an objection on this issue. He said, no, I am going to give my own speech. And at that point, the government of the time said, no, sir, you cannot give, because this is the convention. Council of Ministers is going to give you the speech and you have to read that. Okay. So otherwise it will be considered as violation of constitution. And you know what happens when constitution is violated by president? Impeachment happens. Now, point of order. What do you deduce from the word point of order? It means something is not in order and you want to bring back into order. It means if member thinks that house is not working as per the rules and procedure. So now member can raise this point of order. Honorable Speaker, I think house is not running as per the rules and procedures. A member can raise a point order when proceedings of the house do not follow the normal rules of procedures. Okay, should relate to the interpretation and enforcement of the rules of the house. If it is not running as per the rules, then it need to be enforced. It need to be interpreted. Raised by an opposition member in order to bring the government under control. Extraordinary device, it is as it suspend the proceedings before the house. Enough is enough. Whatever you are doing, it is not working as per rule. Let's bring the rule back. No debate is allowed on point of order. Now, half an hour discussion. Now, there are some time slot based discussions. For example, half an hour discussing a matter of sufficient public importance, which has been subjected to a lot of debate and the answer to which needs elucidation on a matter of fact. You need more clarity on that. Now, you would be thinking, sir, if question hour is there, 0 hour is there, why you have this half an hour discussion? My friends, crucial element of democracy is deliberation, discussion. That is why these tools are given in our parliamentary procedures. That if some matter is not discussed in 0 hour, some matter is not raised in question hour, you have these slots in that you can discuss important matters. A speaker can allot 3 days in a week for such discussions. So at least you know in 3 days the slot is available, we can do the discussion. No formal motion, no voting can happen when it comes to half hour discussion. Short duration discussion. 2-hour discussion. So this is half-hour discussion, this is 2-hour discussion. This is another device. You have another slot available, right? So the time allotted should not exceed 2 hours. Matter of urgent public importance, here also speaker and allot 2 days in a week. So there, you are having 3 days in a week, half-hour discussion, 2 days in a week in 2-hour discussion, or you can say short duration. Easily remember, 2-hour discussion, 2 days in a week. Half-hour discussion, slot is half, so you can give more days, 3 days in a week. There is neither a formal, no, it is same. No formal motion, no voting can happen in this short duration motion. Existence since 1953. Data is not important. Resolution are different from motions in what respect? So till now we were discussing motions. Now there's another word, resolution. Okay. So what is the difference? Major difference. In case of resolution, if a matter is issued and we are saying we want to bring this resolution, it means voting is going to happen. Voting is going to happen. But in case of motions, there are some motions in which voting is not necessary. But in case of resolution, voting is necessary. Why? Because purpose of resolution is to actually have an impact outside or impact inside out of this resolution. Means house has this stand and this stand should have this impact. But this is not a necessary condition in case of motions. All resolutions come in the category of substantive motions. All resolutions come in the category of substantive motion. What was substantive motion? Independent, extensive, complete motion, right? That is to say, every resolution is a particular type of motion. All motions need not necessarily be substantive, right? That is why we discussed subsidiary, substitute. Further, all motions are not necessarily put to vote. I have already told you. The House, whereas all resolutions are required to put to vote. Why? I told you the reason. Because some action need to be taken. Resolutions, a member can move resolution to draw attention of the House or government to a matter of general public importance. Discussion on resolution is strictly relevant and within the scope of resolution. You cannot go beyond that. Member who has moved the resolution or amendment cannot actually withdraw the same except by the leave of the House. If you have started a resolution, now you cannot say, no, I am taking resolution back. No. Matter has been put, means you have raised this matter. Now it is up to House whether they want to give up or not. 3 categories. I hope it is visible to you. Private member resolution, with name you can, I think it is quite clear, means this resolution is raised by private member. It is discussed only on alternate Fridays, that's a fact, and afternoon sittings. The purpose is, or you can say differentiation is, it is raised by a private member. Government resolution, it means it is moved by a particular minister. Okay. Statutory resolution, it can be actually raised by both private as well as government, means minister. Moved by either private member or minister, statutory. Now why we call it statutory? What is the meaning of statute? Statute means law. So it is so called because it is a way always tabled in pursuance of a provision of constitution or a law. Means you want clarity of the House, you want to bring this clarity that House is having this stand on this law. House is having this stand on this particular constitutional provision. For that, you bring statutory resolution. Please remember it. Okay, UPSC can play on the application part, like I have explained. Youth Parliament. This is a basic term. Actually, this is a device so that our youth can be, associated with the parliamentary procedure. It means they can know what happens in Parliament. They say that acquaint the younger generation with the practices, imbibe the spirit of discipline and tolerance, like our parliamentarians have this discipline and tolerance, in quite, we should not comment now. Inculcate in a student community on the basic values of democracy. Parliamentary Affairs provides necessary training, Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs, so that youth can be encouraged to actually engage with what happens in our democracy. So I hope these devices are clear to you now, right? This PDF is going to be available in Shashank Tyagi for you Telegram group. If you have any doubt whatsoever, you can shoot me a message on my personal Insta handle, shashank.powerbeing. I would be happy to help you out. See you in the next video. Till then, keep learning, keep growing.